Hello. Day one was okay. I survived. We didn't do too much that would get me disappointed, but I need an organization system of some sorts. Parentheses, if there is one. All caps. I didn't cry. I had to pee in the woods at like 11 at night. Parentheses, it was pitch black. That was an excerpt from my first Outward Bound journal entry. And Outward Bound was the experience where I spent 3 weeks on the Appalachian Trail backpacking and canoeing. No plumbing, no technology, not glamping. So, hello, my name is Tasia and I'm a fourth-year American Studies major here at the University of Virginia, and I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Today, I will be telling you guys about my time on the Appalachian Trail and what I gained from that experience. An experience that I am so glad that I did, but would never, ever do again. Seriously. So, Outward Bound is an outdoor education organization, and my high school offered scholarships for 3-week programs. So I decided to apply to the 3-week backpacking and canoeing trip. But when it was time to apply, I really went back and forth with myself. And whenever I had asked my friends at school or my mom, I was very quickly written off. I had received their message loud and clear. Activities like backpacking, sailing, and canoeing were not the choice activities of my community. In other words, that's some white people stuff. So, after a great deal of reflection and prayer, I decided to apply. Why, you might ask? Other people were definitely asking me, and I was definitely asking myself. Honestly, all I know is that I felt this intense spiritual pull to embark on a once-in-a-lifetime journey of self-discovery. So I entered into high school, and I had a pretty difficult transition. I was entering into a suburban private high school, which was the polar opposite of my predominantly Black and Hispanic high school, which was lower income, that I would have been attending. So I was really unprepared for how that transition would impact my sense of self. But I saw Outward Bound as a potential retreat or escape from everyone else's notions of who I was meant to be. So I finally decided to submit my application. I interviewed, and I got it. Yay. So I later found out that I was the only person that applied. Thus, I had already begun learning my lessons from this entire experience. Lesson number 1 is that you won't get it if you don't apply, parentheses, yourself. In life, you can't count yourself out before you even put your name in the hat, especially if others are trying to talk you out of your dreams. What if I had let myself or other people talk me out of it? I simply would not be the person that I am today. And I simply would not be transported back to the beautiful woods of Maine whenever I'm asked to close my eyes and imagine the place where I feel most safe and at peace. So let's get into the trip. Outward Bound, Appalachian Trail, no plumbing, no showers, sometimes an outhouse, no technology, no entertainment outside of my group mates, my Bible, and this here journal. So on the first day, when we arrived at base, our instructors, Katie and Tucker, led a demonstration for us on comfort zones. And they had used traffic signals as metaphors and hula hoops as visual aids for us. So the smallest green hula hoop represented our comfort zones, which is where we spend the majority of our time and where we know exactly what to expect. A slightly larger yellow hula hoop surrounded the green hula hoop, and it represented our stretch zones, which is where we begin the process of learning new things and exploring newer territories. Then finally, the largest red hula hoop represents our panic zone, which is the area where we're fully out of our comfort zone and we're completely navigating uncharted territory. I realized during this demonstration that most of my next 3 weeks would be spent in the stretch and panic zones. So that brings me to my next lesson, which is no progress can be made from your comfort zone. When we're comfortable, we are not growing. In our comfort zones, we're meant to feel safe, at peace, restored. But if we stay there too long, they can end up becoming destructive and debilitating. There was absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, comfortable about my Outward Bound experience. But I was completely transformed as a person and as a leader as a result. I learned so many new skills while I was in the Appalachian Trail, like navigating on land and water, tying knots, setting up campsites, cooking, canoeing, portaging, you name it. And another set of skills that I learned developed my leadership abilities. For instance, I had to learn how to communicate and set boundaries with a racist groupmate. Of course, I could have done without her presence and her negative energy, of course. But looking back, I can say that learning how to address my issues with her helped start to develop my communicative skills that I would need for my future social justice advocacy. Moreover, our overall group dynamic helped reveal to me that I have a strength in empowering and uplifting others, modeling the importance of optimism and faith. So in some ways, Outward Bound definitely helped me develop the courage that it would take to confront social issues and mobilize the strength of communities to correct systems of oppression. So when I was looking through my journal, I was reminded of a healthy habit that I had picked up throughout this entire process. And that was that I was setting goals for myself almost every single day and reflecting on whether or not I had achieved the goals and giving myself positive feedback and encouragement. As a fourth year in college, that is very motivating to see just how determined Outward Bound Tasia was in mastering the arts of self-reflection, identifying problems and solutions, and addressing problems moving forward and adapting to changing circumstances. All of these skills work together to help develop and deepen my sense of overall self-awareness. Outward Bound taught me how to be real with myself, how to learn from my mistakes, and how to apply those lessons moving forward. As a result of this routine self-reflection, I was able to go from having virtually no hiking experience before the start of this trip and being deathly afraid of heights to leading 6 to 8 hour hikes for the group while still being deathly afraid of heights. This meant that I was leading a group of 12 backpackers up narrow cliffs and mountainsides, sometimes that were over 4,000 feet above sea level, all while wearing a 60-plus pound backpack. Did I mention deathly afraid of heights? So I would have never imagined myself accomplishing such things, but it simply would not have been possible without pushing myself beyond my comfort zone and believing in my ability to achieve my goals and dreams. And believing in God to not let me die out there in them woods, y'all. So as I wrap up my story, I just wanted to share one little excerpt from the second to last day of my trip. It reads, all right, let's see how this goes with the microphone now. Okay. It reads, "It wasn't that bad. I survived to tell the story." And this brings me to my final lesson, lesson number 4. In the wise, wise words of Kelly Clarkson, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Overall, Outward Bound was proven to be one of my most difficult and most rewarding experiences of my entire life, similarly to how I'll view my time at the University of Virginia after graduation this year. When I graduate this May, I'll be able to say that I completed a global virtual internship in Nigeria, that I taught an undergraduate class on prison abolition, that I grieved the loss of a friend, that I got my first ever C on a report card, C+, all right? That I studied abroad in Kenya, that I completed a 50-page thesis, and that I spoke at Double Take. So all of these accomplishments, all of these goals and dreams that I've achieved, all of these hardships and hurdles that I've had to overcome have helped mold me into a woman that fights for a better tomorrow. But my Appalachian adventure helped mold me into the woman that I am today. And I'm so, so grateful for the opportunity to share those lessons with you. Thank you.